The proposal sparked intense discussion among the council members. Maya listened as beings from across the galaxy debated the implications of truly integrating humans into Confederation operations rather than merely tolerating their presence. Dr. Zaxra approached Maya during the deliberations, her four eyes blinking with what Maya had learned to recognize as satisfaction. "My research will reshape our understanding of cognitive evolution," the xenobiologist said quietly. "But more importantly, it will reshape the Confederation's approach to problem-solving. The combination of human adaptability with the specialized expertise of other species creates possibilities neither could achieve alone." "Is that why you've been studying us all these years?" Maya asked. "You saw something in us that others missed." "I saw inconsistencies," Zaxra replied. "Your technology suggested one level of advancement, your physiology another, your behavior yet another. No existing model could explain the contradictions. I simply followed the evidence to its logical conclusion, which is that the most terrifying truth about humans is not your capacity for destruction or your technological potential," Zaxra said, her voice dropping to a near whisper. "It's that you bring order to chaos not by eliminating it, but by becoming one with it. You don't overcome crisis, you transform it into opportunity." The council's deliberations concluded after several hours. The Aluxian High Councilor's proposal was adopted with modifications, establishing humanity's new role within the Confederation structure. Maya found herself appointed as the first director of the newly formed Crisis Response Division, with Ambassador Kalum serving as her Confederation liaison. 6 months later, Maya stood on the observation deck of the CSS Resilience, the first ship designed specifically for the crisis response fleet. Through the viewport, she could see Earth shining like a blue jewel against the blackness of space. The ship's neural interface systems have been calibrated to human thought patterns, Ambassador Kalun noted as he joined her at the viewport. Dr. Zaxra's research proved invaluable in designing technology that could adapt to your species' unique cognitive approach. Maya nodded, still finding it strange to be the subject of so much scientific interest. "How are the mixed species crews adapting to the training protocols?" "Better than anticipated," Kalun replied. "There was initial resistance from some species to the unconventional simulation scenarios, but the results speak for themselves. Teams incorporating human adaptability with specialized expertise from other species have shown remarkable effectiveness." And the diplomatic courts. The inclusion of human representatives in negotiations with the Outer Rim worlds has already yielded progress that eluded us for decades. Kalum's mandibles clicked in what Maya now recognized as satisfaction. "It seems your species' ability to function through ambiguity and contradiction makes you particularly suited for complex diplomatic scenarios." Maya turned from the viewport to look at the busy command deck below. Humans worked alongside beings from dozens of Confederation species, each bringing their unique evolutionary strengths to a common purpose. What had once been seen as humanity's weakness, their chaotic, adaptable nature, was now understood as their greatest contribution to galactic society. Dr. Zaxra's latest paper suggests that humans may represent an entirely different evolutionary path to sapience, Kalum continued. One that prioritizes adaptability over specialization, resilience over efficiency. She's proposed a revised classification system for cognitive evolution that has sparked considerable debate in scientific circles. Scientists love their classification systems, Maya noted with a smile. But in the end, what matters isn't how we categorize different types of intelligence, but how we combine them to create something greater than the sum of its parts. Kalum's compound eyes studied her with what might have been admiration. A characteristically human perspective, Captain Chen. Always integrating, always adapting. As the Resilience prepared for its maiden voyage, Maya reflected on the journey that had brought humanity from suspicious newcomers to valued members of the galactic community. The crisis aboard Harmony Station had been a turning point, the moment when the Confederation had witnessed firsthand the terrifying truth about humans, that they were born from chaos, shaped by crisis, and uniquely equipped to navigate the uncertain future that awaited all sapient life. In the vastness of space, with its infinite possibilities and unpredictable challenges, humanity's greatest weakness had become their greatest strength. And perhaps, Maya thought as she gave the order to depart, that was the most profound truth of all. Murmurs spread through the council as the implications became clear. Maya noticed several representatives shifting uncomfortably in their seats. This daily neural reconfiguration gives humans unparalleled adaptability, Zaxra continued. They can integrate new information, develop novel solutions, and adjust to changing circumstances with an efficiency that defies our standard models of cognitive development. She activated another display showing comparative stress responses across species. Additionally, humans possess what I term crisis optimization. Their neural and physiological systems actually become more efficient under conditions of threat or extreme challenge. While most species experience performance degradation under stress, humans often show enhanced functionality. Ambassador Kaloon rose from his seat, addressing the council. I can personally attest to the accuracy of Dr. Zaxra's findings. During the Harmony Station crisis, I observed Captain Chen continue to function effectively despite conditions that should have rendered conscious thought impossible by any standard model. The Mrevleni representative's crystalline form vibrated with obvious distress. Are we to understand that humans routinely experience states that would be considered severe psychological trauma for other species? Precisely, Zaxra confirmed. What would induce permanent neural damage in most Confederation species is simply Tuesday for a human. She paused, noting the confusion at her reference, an Earth expression indicating the ordinary nature of the experience. Maya stepped forward, feeling it was time to offer the human perspective. Council members, Dr. Zaxra's research has been illuminating for us as well. Humans don't perceive ourselves as particularly special. We simply do what needs to be done when circumstances demand it. But that is precisely what makes your species so remarkable, Zaxra interjected. Your capacity to normalize extraordinary resilience, to function through conditions that would break most minds, to face chaos not only without fear, but with enhanced capability. These traits have significant implications for the Confederation. The Diraxian representative's crystalline voice resonated through the chamber. What implications, specifically? Humans are uniquely suited for crisis response, adaptation to novel threats, and operations in chaotic environments, Zaxra explained. Their inclusion in Confederation emergency protocols, diplomatic missions to unstable regions, and first contact scenarios would significantly enhance our collective capabilities. Maya watched as the council members exchanged meaningful glances. She understood their concern. From their perspective, humans must seem unpredictable, potentially dangerous, a species that thrived in conditions that other civilizations had spent millennia trying to eliminate. I understand your hesitation. She addressed the council directly. For most of your species, stability and predictability represent the pinnacle of civilization. Humans come from a different evolutionary path, one where adaptation to chaos proved more valuable than specialization. She stepped closer to the center of the chamber, her voice growing stronger. But this difference doesn't make us incompatible with the Confederation's goals. Rather, it makes us complementary. Where your species excel in stable conditions, humans can bridge the gaps when those conditions fail. We don't wish to disrupt your order. We wish to help preserve it when unexpected challenges arise. A thoughtful silence fell over the chamber. Finally, the Aluxian High Counselor spoke, her melodious voice carrying easily through the vast space. For many cycles, we have observed humans with uncertainty. Your species joins conflicts not your own, takes unnecessary risks, and demonstrates decision-making processes that appear irrational by our standards. Now we begin to understand that what appeared as chaos to us is actually a different form of order, one born from a world that never permitted the luxury of predictability. She gestured to the displays still showing Maya's neural activity during the station crisis. Captain Chen's actions aboard Harmony Station saved thousands of lives. including many distinguished representatives of our eldest civilizations. She did so not despite being human, but because of it. The High Counselor turned to address the full council. I propose that we establish a new division within the Confederation structure, a crisis response unit comprised primarily of human personnel, supported by the technical expertise of our established species. Further, I propose that human representatives be included in all diplomatic missions where unstable conditions might be encountered. When consciousness returned, it came in fragments, clinical voices, the hum of advanced medical equipment, the sensation of regenerative fields working to repair cellular damage. Maya opened her eyes to find herself in the station's medical bay, surrounded by monitoring equipment. Dr. Zaxor stood nearby, all four eyes fixed on a holographic display of Maya's neural activity. "She's regaining consciousness," the xenobiologist announced, excitement evident in her voice. "Remarkable recovery trajectory, exactly as my models predicted." Maya tried to speak, but her throat was too dry. A medical technician, human, noticed her awareness and offered water through a hydration tube. "Easy, Captain," the technician said. "You've been unconscious for 3 days. The radiation exposure was significant." After moistening her throat, Maya managed to ask, "The station fully operational again?" came a familiar voice. Ambassador Kaloon approached her bed, his massive form moving with characteristic precision. "The attackers have been apprehended. They were mercenaries hired by a splinter faction opposing the peace negotiations." Maya nodded weakly. "And the delegates?" "All survived," Kaloon replied. "In fact, the Confederation Council has convened an emergency session regarding the events here. Your actions, and Dr. Zaxor's research, have sparked considerable interest." Dr. Zaxor stepped closer, barely containing her scientific enthusiasm. "Captain Chen, your physiological responses during the crisis have provided invaluable data. With your permission, I would like to include your case in my presentation to the Council." "Presentation?" Maya asked, confused. "Yes," the Palaxian continued. "The Council has requested a comprehensive briefing on human capabilities. Your species has been misunderstood within the Confederation. Recent events have prompted a reevaluation." 2 weeks later, Maya stood before the full Galactic Confederation Council on Nexus Prime. Her body was still recovering. The medical teams had warned that complete cellular regeneration would take months, but she had insisted on attending in person rather than via holographic projection. The council chamber was imposing, designed to accommodate representatives from hundreds of species. The elder races occupied the most prominent positions: Diraxians, Revlani, Aluxians, and others whose civilizations had achieved spaceflight while humans were still developing agriculture. Dr. Zaxor stood at the central podium, her diminutive form elevated on a platform to be visible to all attendees. Behind her, holographic displays showed complex neurological scans, comparative physiology charts, and footage from Harmony Station during the crisis. "Distinguished council members," the xenobiologist began, "for the past 50 cycles, I have been conducting research into human biology and cognitive functions. What began as an academic curiosity has revealed insights that I believe may fundamentally alter our understanding of evolutionary adaptation and sapient potential." She activated a primary display showing comparative brain scans. Most Confederation species evolved through specialized adaptation to stable environments. Your neurological systems are highly efficient within defined parameters. Humans, by contrast, evolved in a highly unstable environment, with rapid climate shifts, numerous predators, and constant competition for resources. The display shifted to show human neural activity under various conditions. The result is a species with unprecedented cognitive flexibility. Under normal conditions, humans appear unremarkable. Their intelligence tests within standard parameters, their physical capabilities are modest, their technological development typical for their evolutionary age. Zaxra paused, her 4 eyes blinking in sequence for emphasis. But this ordinary appearance masks an extraordinary truth. Humans do not operate according to fixed parameters. Instead, they possess the ability to continuously reconfigure their neural and physiological responses based on environmental demands. The display showed footage from the Harmony Station crisis, Maya coordinating teams despite severe sleep deprivation, navigating the maintenance tunnels despite radiation exposure that should have been debilitating, continuing to function even as her body approached systemic failure. What you are witnessing is not superhuman ability, Zaxra explained. Rather, it is the human adaptive response, their capacity to maintain functionality under conditions that would incapacitate most species. This is made possible by several unique features of their biology. She highlighted a sequence showing human sleep patterns. Most remarkably, humans require regular periods of what can only be described as controlled neurological chaos. During sleep, their brains essentially dismantle and rebuild neural pathways, testing millions of potential connections in what appears to be random patterns. The Thrylaxian's mandibles clicked in what Maya had learned to recognize as reluctant agreement. Your species continues to confound all logical analysis, Captain Chen. We get that a lot, Maya replied with a tight smile before opening the hatch. The moment the seal broke, decompression created a powerful suction. Maya anchored herself against it, then used the force to propel herself forward into the vacuum section. The lack of atmosphere created an eerie silence, broken only by her own rasping breath inside the helmet and the countdown warning in her ear, 85 seconds to suit failure. She moved with practiced precision, using the handholds along the maintenance tunnel to pull herself forward. The radiation indicator on her suit flashed warning red, but she ignored it, focusing entirely on the rhythm of movement. 60 seconds to suit failure. Halfway there, the cold of space began seeping through her suit's inadequate insulation. Her extremities burned, then grew numb. Warning indicators flashed across her helmet display as her vital signs fluctuated. 40 seconds to suit failure. 3/4 of the way. A micrometeoroid impact, or perhaps debris from the station damage, punched through the outer layer of her left leg seal. The suit's emergency systems deployed a temporary patch, but her oxygen reserves began depleting more rapidly. 20 seconds to suit failure. The far hatch was within reach now. Maya extended her arm, feeling something tear in her shoulder, the same one injured during the initial attack. The pain registered dimly, like a note from a distant instrument. 10 seconds to suit failure. Her gloved fingers found the emergency override, twisting the manual release. The hatch slid open, and atmosphere from the sealed section beyond rushed out. Maya used the outflow to pull herself through the opening, Kaloon following close behind. As the emergency seal engaged automatically behind them, Maya's suit finally gave out, the helmet seal failing with a hiss of escaping air. Kaloon moved quickly, helping her remove the compromised helmet. Maya gasped, drawing in the thin but breathable atmosphere of the new section. Your suit is registering critical radiation exposure, the ambassador informed her, his tone somewhere between awe and horror. By my species' standards, you should be incapacitated. I'll worry about long-term health effects later, Maya replied, forcing herself to stand despite the trembling in her legs. We're less than 10 minutes from the auxiliary control room now. When they finally reached their destination, Maya's condition had deteriorated significantly. Internal bleeding had started, evidenced by the blood she occasionally coughed up. Her skin showed signs of radiation burns, and her coordination was becoming erratic. Yet her mind remained clear, focused on the sequence of commands needed to restore the station's critical systems. The main reactor is approaching critical, Kaloon reported, monitoring the status displays they had managed to activate. We need to restore cooling systems immediately. Maya nodded, her fingers flying across the emergency control interface. Initiating emergency coolant protocols. We'll need to manually vent the buildup from the secondary chambers. Working together, they gradually brought the reactor back from the brink of catastrophic failure, restored minimal life support to the inhabited sections, and established emergency communication with the command center. Captain Chen. Lieutenant Park's voice crackled through the newly activated comm system. Status report. Auxiliary controls operational, Maya replied, her voice weaker than she would have liked. Critical systems stabilized. The immediate danger has passed. Medical teams are standing by, Park informed her. Dr. Zaxra says to tell you that you've almost certainly exceeded survivable radiation exposure for your species. Maya allowed herself a tired smile. Tell her I'm looking forward to being her next research paper. As she closed the communication channel, Maya finally permitted herself to acknowledge the full extent of her injuries. The radiation sickness was advancing rapidly. Nausea, dizziness, the metallic taste of blood in her mouth. Her vision blurred at the edges, and the pain that she had been compartmentalizing now crashed through her consciousness in waves. You require immediate medical intervention, Ambassador Kaloon stated, his compound eyes focused on her deteriorating condition. The station is secure, Maya replied, her voice barely above a whisper now. Mission accomplished. As darkness claimed her consciousness, Maya's last thought was not of her own survival, but satisfaction that thousands of beings aboard Harmony Station would continue to live. She did not expect to wake up. But it is, Zaxra insisted, what you're attempting. The maintenance shaft transit would kill most sapient beings even if they physically survived. The combination of radiation exposure, temperature fluctuations, and atmospheric variability represents a level of physiological stress that should render conscious function impossible. Yet here I am, planning to do exactly that, Maya said. Doctor, I appreciate your scientific interest, but right now I need practical advice, not evolutionary theory. Will the radiation levels in the shafts cause immediate incapacitation? Zaxra hesitated, then answered, no, not for a human. You will experience symptoms of radiation sickness within hours, but your functional window should extend beyond the time needed to reach the auxiliary controls. Then that's all I need to know. The journey through Harmony Station's maintenance network proved even more harrowing than anticipated. Maya and Ambassador Kaloon entered the narrow access tunnels through an emergency hatch, immediately encountering the first challenge: near freezing temperatures as they passed close to the station's outer hull. Maya's environmental suit provided minimal protection, and she quickly lost sensation in her extremities. Despite this, she continued moving forward methodically, checking her navigation device against the maintenance system markers. Your core temperature is dropping to dangerous levels, Kaloon observed, his environmental sensors more sophisticated than Maya's basic equipment. Yet your performance does not degrade. Fascinating. Save your fascination for when we've restored life support, Maya replied through chattering teeth. How much farther to the first junction? Approximately 300 meters. Beyond that, we must navigate a section with compromised atmospheric integrity. As they progressed deeper into the maintenance network, Maya became acutely aware of the physical toll the journey was taking. Her radiation exposure monitor had been steadily climbing, still within survivable limits, but approaching levels that would require serious medical intervention afterward. The temperature swings as they moved between sections taxed her body's regulatory systems. Twice they encountered areas where they needed to switch to emergency breathing apparatus due to toxic gas leaks from damaged systems. Through it all, Maya kept her mind focused on the sequence of tasks before her. Each handhold, each hatch, each junction leading them closer to their destination. The pain and discomfort registered as data points rather than debilitating sensations. Ambassador Kaloon observed her with increasing amazement. His own species was renowned for physical resilience. Their exoskeletons could withstand pressures and impacts that would crush most beings. But the Thrillaxian endurance was purely physical. The mental fortitude Maya displayed, continuing to make complex navigational calculations while her body endured multiple simultaneous stressors, was unlike anything in his experience. We have a problem, Maya announced as they reached a critical junction 5 sections from their destination. The atmospheric seal has failed completely in the next section. Its hard vacuum ahead for at least 60 meters. Kaloon's compound eyes studied the situation. My exoskeleton can withstand vacuum exposure, but your environmental suit is not rated for this. We must find an alternative route. There is no alternative route that would get us there in time, Maya replied, already adjusting her suit seals and checking her oxygen supply. This suit can handle vacuum exposure for approximately 90 seconds before catastrophic failure. The section is 60 meters. I can make it. This is madness, Kaloon objected. Even if you survive the vacuum exposure, the radiation levels in that section are elevated due to the lack of atmospheric shielding. You would be subjecting yourself to potentially lethal conditions. Potentially lethal isn't the same as certainly lethal, Maya countered, which is what we're all facing if we don't reach those controls. Ambassador, I understand your concern, but this is what humans do. We calculate risks and make calls that prioritize the mission when necessary. Without waiting for further objection, Maya sealed her helmet and activated the emergency vacuum protocols on her suit. The outer layer stiffened, providing minimal pressure protection. The oxygen system switched to a closed circuit with limited duration. When I open this hatch, you follow immediately, she instructed Kaloon. I'll move as quickly as possible to the far seal. Be ready to help me if my suit fails before I reach it. In the sudden darkness, Maya felt a strange calm descend. This was the moment when all plans failed, when protocols became meaningless, the kind of chaos that humans had evolved to navigate through instinct and improvisation. Everyone stay calm, she said into the suddenly silent room. This isn't over yet. Revelation. Darkness enveloped Harmony Station. Emergency lighting, designed to activate automatically during power failures, remained ominously absent. The only illumination came from the occasional spark of damaged equipment and the ambient glow of a nearby nebula through viewport slits. In the command center, Maya Chen could hear the panicked breathing of several non-human delegates who had been observing the operation. Their species had not evolved in environments where sudden darkness might conceal predators, and they lacked the psychological adaptations to manage this specific fear. Lieutenant Park, Maya called calmly, activate your personal illuminator. A small light flared to life, revealing Park's determined face. Around him, the command center was in disarray. Equipment toppled, displays dark, several staff members nursing injuries from the sudden gravity fluctuations. Status report, Maya demanded, her voice steady. Complete power failure, Park replied. Life support backup systems are offline. We have maybe 6 hours of breathable atmosphere before levels become critical. Communications are down. And, he hesitated. And, Maya prompted. The main reactor is showing signs of instability. Without the control systems online, we could be looking at a catastrophic overload within 12 hours. The news sent a ripple of distress through the aliens present. Maya noted their reactions with part of her mind while the rest was already calculating options. Probabilities. Potential solutions. Can we reach the auxiliary control room? She asked. It's 17 sections away, through areas with potential atmospheric breaches and structural damage, Park replied. Without power for the transport tubes, it would take hours to navigate there safely. Maya nodded, processing this information. Then we don't navigate safely. We go directly, through the maintenance shafts. A chorus of objections erupted from the alien delegates. The Mrevlani ambassador's silicate form vibrated with alarm. The maintenance network was never designed for biological transit. There are sections exposed to vacuum, areas of extreme temperature variation, and potential radiation hotspots. It's also a straight path to the auxiliary controls, Maya countered. With the right equipment, a small team could make it in under 2 hours. Dr. Zaxra, who had been quietly observing the exchange, stepped forward. The human assessment is correct. However, such a journey would place extreme physiological demands on most species. The temperature variations alone would be fatal to Duraxians, while the confined spaces would induce psychological collapse in Thrilaxians. Then I'll go alone, Maya stated simply. Absolutely not, Park objected immediately. The protocols for station emergency response clearly state. The protocols assumed functional backup systems. Maya interrupted. We're beyond protocols now, Lieutenant. She turned to address the gathered aliens. I understand your concerns, but every minute we debate reduces our survival chances. The maintenance shafts are our fastest route to restore basic systems. I will accompany you, came an unexpected voice. Ambassador Kaloon stepped forward, his massive form seeming even larger in the dim light. My exoskeleton provides sufficient protection against the environmental hazards, and I have technical knowledge of the station's auxiliary systems. Maya assessed the Thrilaxian with a quick glance. His injuries from the initial attack had been stabilized, but he was far from fully recovered. Still, his assistance could prove invaluable. Thank you, Ambassador. We leave in 10 minutes. Lieutenant Park, you're in command here. Dr. Zaxra, your medical expertise might be needed if the atmospheric quality continues to deteriorate. Focus on protecting the most vulnerable species first. As Maya gathered the necessary equipment for the journey, Dr. Zaxra approached her privately. Captain, there is something you should know, the xenobiologist said quietly. My research into human physiology has revealed capabilities that even you may not fully appreciate. Your species possesses a remarkable capacity for what we might call controlled suicide. Your bodies can continue functioning despite conditions that would be immediately fatal to most species, Zaxra explained, her 4 eyes blinking in sequence. You can push vital systems to the brink of failure and still maintain cognitive function. It is as though your evolutionary path prioritized task completion over survival itself. We call it pushing through, Maya replied with a slight smile. It's not really that dramatic. She highlighted a particular scan. This is a human brain during normal operation. Notice the areas of activity, organized, predictable. Now, this is the same human during crisis response. The delegates murmured as the scan showed dramatically different patterns, with activity spreading to areas previously dormant. Under stress, the human brain reconfigures itself, Zaxra explained. Functions normally separated become integrated. They can maintain cognitive performance even as their bodies approach physical failure. Most remarkably, they can operate effectively despite sleep deprivation that would cause permanent neural damage in most species. How is this possible? Demanded the Mrevlani ambassador. Their sleep cycle itself provides the answer, Zaxra replied. Unlike any other known species, humans enter a state of controlled neurological chaos during rest. Their minds essentially tear down and rebuild neural pathways every day of their lives. This creates an unparalleled adaptability to novel situations. Maya listened with growing discomfort. She had never considered her abilities unusual, just the normal human capacity to push through when circumstances demanded it. Doctor, she interrupted, while this is fascinating, we have immediate problems to solve. The attackers still control key systems, and we have failing life support in multiple sections. Precisely my point. Zaxra turned to address the council again. The human approach, Captain Chen's approach, may seem chaotic and improvisational to your perceptions, but this is exactly why it is effective against an enemy that has disrupted our standard responses. A thoughtful silence fell over the council. Finally, Ambassador Kaloon spoke. What do you propose, Captain Chen? Maya took a deep breath. The attackers are expecting us to follow standard Confederation emergency protocols, systematic, predictable responses. Instead, I propose something they won't anticipate, a simultaneous operation targeting all critical systems at once. She quickly outlined her plan, watching as expressions of shock, doubt, and grudging admiration spread among the delegates. This is madness, the Mrevlani ambassador declared. You're proposing to intentionally vent atmosphere from sections of the station to disable explosive devices. You'll be sending teams into areas with potentially lethal radiation levels. The teams will be primarily human volunteers, Maya responded calmly. Our physiology can handle short-term radiation exposure better than most species here. As for the atmospheric venting, It's calculated risk. The alternative is waiting until the attackers decide to detonate those explosives on their terms. And you believe you can coordinate such a complex operation in your current physical state? Asked the Diraxian representative, his tone skeptical. Maya met his gaze steadily. Yes. Dr. Zaxra's mandibles clicked in what Maya recognized as excitement. This is precisely what makes humans so remarkable. They function at their highest capacity when situations deteriorate beyond normal parameters. When most species would shut down from stress, humans become more focused, more creative. It's not a superpower, Maya clarified, somewhat uncomfortable with Zaxra's characterization. It's just what we do when there's no alternative. After further debate, the council reluctantly approved Maya's plan, though several delegates insisted on having observers accompany each team, ostensibly to provide species-specific expertise, but Maya suspected they wanted to monitor the humans as much as assist them. The operation began 4 hours later. Maya coordinated from the command center, her voice steady as she directed teams through the damaged station. Lieutenant Park managed communications, while Dr. Zaxra hovered nearby, alternating between offering technical advice and surreptitiously recording human stress responses for her research. The first phase, reclaiming the environmental controls, proceeded according to plan. Human engineers, working alongside Diraxian technicians whose crystalline forms provided natural radiation resistance, managed to bypass damaged systems and restore partial functionality. Then everything went wrong. "Captain, we've got movement in the shuttle bay," Park reported suddenly. "The attackers, they're executing some kind of fail-safe protocol. Energy readings are spiking in all sectors." Maya processed this information instantly. "They're overloading the power core. Evacuate all teams from the central sections immediately." Even as she gave the order, a series of explosions rocked the station. The lights failed completely, emergency systems following seconds later. Artificial gravity fluctuated wildly, sending unsecured objects flying across the command center. "On the contrary," Zaxra replied, her 4 eyes blinking in sequence, "my research may be key to resolving our current predicament and addressing the delegates' concerns." Before Maya could respond, a violent shudder ran through the station. The lights flickered, and gravity wavered momentarily. "Structural integrity breach in Section 19, shouted a technician. "We're losing atmosphere in the outer habitation ring." "Seal it off," Maya ordered immediately. "Initiate emergency evacuation for any life forms still in that section." She turned back to Kaloon and Zaxra. "Whatever your council wants to discuss, it will have to wait. We need to stabilize this station, or none of us will survive to debate species politics." Kaloon's mandibles clicked. A gesture Maya had learned indicated reluctant agreement. "Very well, Captain. But the Council requests that Dr. Zaxra attend as an expert consultant on human behavior. Some delegates find your methods disturbing." "Fine," Maya agreed, already turning her attention back to the crisis. "Park, you have command here. I'll address the Council. Then we need to formulate a plan to retake the environmental control systems." As Maya and the 2 aliens made their way to the makeshift council chamber, they passed through corridors filled with injured beings from a dozen different species. Medical personnel, most of them human, worked tirelessly to stabilize the wounded, improvising treatments for physiologies they had limited experience with. Maya noted the looks that followed her, some grateful, others suspicious, a few openly hostile. Humanity's position within the Confederation had always been tenuous. This crisis could either cement their acceptance or confirm the fears many elder species harbored about the unpredictable newcomers. The council chamber was actually a repurposed recreation area, now crowded with the surviving delegates. Conversations in multiple languages ceased as Maya entered. She surveyed the room, noting which species were represented and which were conspicuously absent. "Captain Chen," began the Diraxian representative, his crystalline voice resonating in the chamber, "we have been monitoring your crisis response with great interest and concern," added the Mrivlani ambassador, her silicate form shimmering with agitation. You have implemented measures without consultation, redistributed resources without authorization, and deployed personnel in violation of established protocols. Maya stood her ground. With respect, ambassadors, standard protocols are designed for standard situations. This attack was specifically engineered to disable our normal response capabilities. Adaptation was necessary for survival. Yet you show no signs of distress, observed another delegate, this one a gaseous entity contained within an environmental suit. Your body requires regular sleep cycles, yet you have continued functioning for what we understand is an extreme duration for your species. You have suffered physical injury, yet continue performing complex cognitive tasks. These abilities seem unnatural. Maya blinked, taken aback by the direction of the conversation. I'm simply doing my job. Perhaps Dr. Zaxra can provide some insight, Kaloon suggested. She has been studying human physiology extensively. All eyes turned to the small xenobiologist, who stepped forward with obvious excitement despite the dire circumstances. Respected delegates, Zaxra began, what you are observing is not unusual for humans. Their species evolved on a planet with extreme environmental variability and predatory threats. This created several unique adaptations that we are only beginning to understand. She activated a holographic display showing comparative brain scans. Most sapient species in the Confederation evolved through gradual specialization. Your neurological systems are highly efficient, but relatively fixed in function. Humans, by contrast, developed through rapid adaptation to changing circumstances. The ambassador's compound eyes regarded her with what might have been resignation or admiration. Human ability to read Thrillaxian expressions was still limited. Your species is most irrational, he said. So I've been told, Maya grunted as she strained against the immense weight. Now, together, they managed to create just enough space for the ambassador to drag himself free. Maya's muscles screamed in protest, and she could feel something tear in her shoulder as the beam crashed back to the floor. Captain Chen. Lieutenant Park's voice crackled through her communicator. Are you all right? We have reports of multiple explosions. I'm alive, Maya replied, helping Ambassador Kaloon to his feet. The situation is critical. We have casualties and structural damage. Who's responsible for this attack? Unknown, but security reports armed intruders in sections 12 through 17. They appear to be targeting the diplomatic contingent specifically. Maya's mind raced. This isn't random. Someone wants these peace talks to fail. She looked around at the injured delegates and the smoking ruins of the conference room. And they might just succeed. Little did she know that this attack was only the beginning of a crisis that would test not just her diplomatic skills, but the very traits that made humans uniquely suited to chaos. Traits that Dr. Zaxra was just beginning to understand, and that would soon terrify the entire Galactic Confederation. Crisis point. The next 12 hours aboard Harmony Station were the kind that defined careers and species reputations. Maya Chen found herself in command of the crisis response by default. The station's senior administrator, a venerable Eluxian named Trelk, had been among the first casualties of the attack. His second-in-command was trapped in a sealed section with failing life support. The chain of command had collapsed almost as quickly as the station's security protocols. Status report, Maya demanded, wiping sweat from her brow as she surveyed the makeshift command center they'd established in the station's medical wing. Lieutenant Park looked up from his console, his face haggard from continuous work. We've confirmed at least 23 fatalities, over 100 injured. Communication with Central Control is still down. Life support is stable in this section, but failing in the outer rings. The attackers appear to have withdrawn to the shuttle base, but they've left behind Deadman switch explosives that are preventing us from retaking key systems. Maya absorbed this information with the calm efficiency that had become her trademark. Internally, her mind was already calculating probabilities, assessing resources, plotting potential paths forward. She had not slept in nearly 60 hours now, but her thinking remained sharp, fueled by emergency stims and the peculiar human ability to function through extreme fatigue. "What about the delegates?" she asked. "Most survived the initial attack. They're here in the medical wing or in secure quarters adjacent to this section." "And Dr. Zaxra? I heard her lab was damaged." Park nodded. "She's here, actually. Insisted on bringing some research data she claims is critical." Maya raised an eyebrow. "In the middle of a terrorist attack. She's Palaxian," Park shrugged, as if this explained everything. In many ways, it did. The four-eyed xenobiologist species was known for their single-minded devotion to scientific inquiry, often to the exclusion of practical concerns like personal safety. "Captain Chin," a melodic voice interrupted. Maya turned to see Ambassador Kaloon approaching, his massive frame moving with surprising grace, despite the hastily applied medical patches covering his damaged exoskeleton. "The Delegate Council requests your presence. There are concerns about the human response to this crisis." Maya suppressed a flash of irritation. "With all due respect, Ambassador, I'm trying to ensure our collective survival. Political discussions can wait. It is precisely your approach to survival that concerns some delegates," Kaloon replied, his compound eyes gleaming. "You have been making unilateral decisions affecting all species aboard this station." "Because someone needs to make decisions," Maya shot back. "While your council debates protocols and precedents, this station is literally falling apart around us." A new voice joined the conversation, high-pitched and rapid. "The human is correct, Ambassador." Dr. Zaxra approached, her diminutive form barely reaching Maya's waist. "Their species has evolutionary adaptations that make them uniquely suited to crisis management." Maya and Kaloon both turned to stare at the xenobiologist, who continued undeterred. "Captain, I've been studying human neurophysiology for decades. Your species possesses several remarkable traits that explain your effectiveness in chaotic situations." "This hardly seems the time for an academic discussion, Doctor," Maya said. "A territorial dispute. That's what this is about." Maya stopped walking, her dark eyes narrowing. "These are two of the Confederation's founding species. They're supposed to be beyond this kind of petty conflict." Park's expression was sympathetic. "Apparently not, Mom." Maya took a deep breath, centering herself. "All right. Have the environmental techs adjust the Mrivlani chamber to their preferred silicate atmosphere and extreme temperature. Physical comfort sometimes helps with emotional flexibility. Then find out what the Diraxians actually need from Proxima B. There must be a compromise." "Yes, Captain." As Park hurried away, Maya continued toward the conference room, where representatives from 17 species awaited. This peace summit was crucial. Tensions between the inner and outer rim worlds had been building for decades, and several recent skirmishes threatened to escalate into full-scale war. Humanity had only a minor stake in the conflict, but their relative neutrality made Maya an ideal mediator. At least that was the official reason for her appointment. Unofficially, she suspected that if the talks failed, humans would make a convenient scapegoat. As the doors slid open, conversation ceased. The delegates, some humanoid, others utterly alien in form, turned to regard her with expressions ranging from hope to thinly veiled contempt. "Delegates of the Confederation," Maya began, her voice clear and confident despite the fatigue of 36 hours without sleep. "Thank you for your patience. I believe we've found a path forward on the resource allocation dispute. If you'll direct your attention to the proposal now being distributed." In her laboratory 17 levels below, Dr. Zaxra was making a breakthrough. After decades of research, she had finally obtained approval for limited direct study of human neurological patterns under the guise of a cultural exchange program. "This cannot be correct," she muttered, reviewing the scan results for the third time. "Vril, verify these readings." Her assistant, now a senior researcher himself, examined the data. "The equipment is functioning properly, Professor. These are accurate readings from the human subject." "But it's impossible." Zaxra's voice rose with uncharacteristic emotion. According to these scans, the human brain never truly shuts down critical functions, even during their sleep cycle. Instead, it enters a state of controlled chaos. Not just chaos, Vril said quietly. Look at these pattern formations. Their neural activity during sleep resembles our most advanced quantum computing algorithms, testing millions of possible connections simultaneously. Every night, Zaxra whispered. Every human does this every night of their lives. No wonder they're so. Vril trailed off. Unpredictable, Zaxra finished. Their minds literally rewire themselves through controlled insanity on a daily basis. Before they could discuss the implications further, an alarm blared throughout the station. The lighting shifted to emergency mode, pulsing amber that cast eerie shadows across the laboratory. Attention all personnel, came the automated announcement. Security breach detected in the diplomatic sector. Lockdown protocols initiated. This is not a drill. Maya had been in the middle of presenting a compromise proposal when the first explosion ripped through the conference room. The blast threw her backward, slamming her against a wall with enough force to momentarily black out her vision. When she regained awareness seconds later, the scene before her was chaos. Part of the ceiling had collapsed. Emergency force fields flickered, struggling to contain atmospheric breaches. Several delegates lay motionless, while others called out in pain or confusion. Training took over. Maya pulled herself to her feet, ignoring the wet warmth of blood trickling down her face. Emergency protocols, she shouted. Anyone who can move, help those who can't. Through the smoke, she could see the silhouette of a Thralaxian delegate, Ambassador Kalun, trapped beneath a fallen support beam. The massive, six-limbed being was trying unsuccessfully to free himself. Maya staggered toward him, her ears still ringing from the explosion. As she reached the ambassador, a secondary explosion somewhere nearby sent fresh vibrations through the floor. The station's gravity fluctuated momentarily, a very bad sign. Hold still, Ambassador, Maya said, examining the beam pinning him down. It was too heavy for her to lift alone. She looked around desperately for something to use as leverage. Leave me, human, Kalun wheezed. His breathing labored as atmospheric pressure continued to drop. Save yourself. My exoskeleton is severely damaged. That's not how we do things, Maya replied firmly, wedging a broken piece of furniture under the beam. When I say now, I need you to push with all your strength while I lift. First contact. The Galactic Confederation had existed for 12,000 cycles before they discovered Earth. Their scouts had been methodically mapping this spiral arm of the galaxy when they detected unusual electromagnetic emissions from an unremarkable yellow star. Following standard protocol, they established long-range observation of the third planet, expecting to find another pre-spaceflight civilization to monitor from afar. What they found instead confounded their finest minds. I don't understand these readings. Senior observer Nexel's translucent appendages trembled as she manipulated the holographic display. According to our atmospheric analysis, these beings are pumping pollutants into their environment at levels that should have triggered societal collapse centuries ago. Yet their population continues to grow. Her colleague Reuven noted, his crystalline exoskeleton glinting under the observation deck's lights. And look at these energy signatures. They're still primarily burning fossil fuels, but there are pockets of fusion research, quantum computing, and is that antimatter containment. Technological inconsistency this severe shouldn't be possible in a stable species, Nexel said. The data must be corrupted. But it wasn't. Further observation only deepened the mystery. Humans fought devastating wars yet developed extraordinary medicine. They created art of breathtaking beauty while destroying natural habitats. They demonstrated both remarkable cooperation and brutal savagery, often simultaneously. When the Confederation finally made contact 50 cycles later, after humans had established their first extrasolar colonies, the resulting cultural exchange sent shockwaves through galactic society. Dr. Zaxra, a xenobiologist, with the Confederation Science Academy, remembered that day clearly. The diminutive Palaxian had been analyzing comparative nervous system structures when the announcement came through. Earth had been invited to send representatives to Confederation headquarters on Nexus Prime. Unlike many of her colleagues, Zaxra wasn't interested in human technology or social structures. Her fascination lay deeper, in their biology. And it was this interest that led her to establish an unauthorized research program that would eventually uncover the most disturbing truth about this peculiar species. Subject appears to be experiencing extreme discomfort, yet vital signs remain within operational parameters, Zaxra dictated into her recorder as she reviewed footage of a human marathon runner collapsing across a finish line. Note the paradoxical combination of physical system failure and conscious determination. Her research assistant, Vril, a tall, spindly being with silvery skin, looked uncomfortable. "Professor, should we really be collecting this data without official sanction? The Ethics Committee specifically limited human studies to non-invasive observation." Zaxra's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a gesture of dismissal. "We're merely analyzing publicly available human broadcasts. Look at this footage. Humans deliberately place themselves in situations that cause physical pain, and their neurotransmitter response suggests they derive satisfaction from it. No other known species exhibits this behavior. It's unnatural," Vril muttered. "No," Zaxra corrected, her voice trembling with excitement. "It's extraordinary." 20 cycles passed. Earth joined the Confederation, though humans remained objects of both fascination and deep suspicion. Their homeworld was resource-poor compared to many advanced worlds, their technology patchwork and inefficient, their social structures chaotic. Yet somehow, they continued advancing at a pace that alarmed many elder species. Captain Maya Chen of the Earth Diplomatic Corps knew all about these prejudices. She'd spent the last 7 years navigating the complex waters of interspecies relations, serving as humanity's representative in countless negotiations. At 34, she'd earned a reputation for solving seemingly impossible diplomatic conflicts. "Captain Chen, the Mrivlani ambassador refuses to be in the same room as the Duraxian delegation," her aide, Lieutenant Park, informed her as they walked briskly through the curved corridors of Harmony Station. The massive space habitat served as neutral ground for sensitive negotiations. Maya suppressed a sigh. "The Mrivlani are silicon-based life forms. They consider carbon-based diplomats who consume plant matter to be barbaric. Tell Ambassador Kthol that I'll arrange separate meeting rooms with holographic presence." "That's not the issue this time, Captain." Park looked uncomfortable. Apparently, the Duraxian delegate mentioned their new agricultural program on Proxima B, and the Mrevlani consider this an existential threat, since they've had designs on that system for millennia.